Yes, Ritima, read out the questions in chat. Let's see what queries came.
Yes, sir.
How much relevant, how
Yes,
much
sir.
are there any new insights?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, first question is from Dr. Vijay Ramakrishna. Is that clavicle fracture can known by tuning fork?
Remember that clavicle is part of the upper limb. Ask something relevant to whatever I have mentioned. Okay. It is the thoracic cage. So that is what I mentioned, right? Next question.
Sir, next question from Vishal. Sir, can you explain how to check ribs fracture by tunic fork?
I just showed you that you keep the tuning fork on one side of the rib, other side it will pain. Wherever the fracture site you keep, it will pain. That is nothing. That pain can be from costochondritis. There can be inflammation locally also. There could be trigger point also will pain. When you keep the tuning fork at that location, there itself it will pain. But when you are keeping here, if it pains there, that can only be because of a fracture. That is, the vibrations are transmitted through the periosteum. You can Google it and see. What I am trying to say is these are all not the actual manual therapy techniques. What I am trying to tell is for the red flags. Don't focus on something that is outside the topic. Okay. Try to see that how you can improve your rational and understanding of the patients, because even experienced manual therapists are making errors, like telling manual therapy and they are teaching only mobilizations. They are not telling about the other articular techniques and also, of course, myofascial and neural techniques, and teaching techniques in a structural perspective, like just go there 2 fingers and then give the mobilization, give the release. Not telling about functional perspective, why some patients have pain on standing. Some patients, why do they have on upper limb activities? Some patients have cervical spondylosis. After that, they are having thoracic symptoms. So that means cervical is primary. We have to treat together. We have to analyze which are the tissues that is connecting both the regions. We cannot ignore that and treat only the thorax. So these errors are commonly performed even by experts who are teaching the whole world. Such kind of experts are doing this kind of mistakes. So that is the misconception which you have to get away from, and make sure that your assessment should be focused on articular, myofascial, and neural in and around the thoracic cage, the rib cage. Right? Next question.
Sir, next question is from Dr. Kalitoy. Is it not cumbersome using stethoscope while doing mobilization to check if there is a clicking sound? Next is the second part is clarification, sir. Superior mobilization on CRPD.
Wait. What is that? The first one?
This one.
Clicking sounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it? Yes, sir. And in the CRPD or COPD?
Clarification.
Superior mobilization on CRPD or COPD?
What is that mobilization he said? Can you be a little bit louder? Clarification, sir.
Clarification, sir. Superior mobilization on CRPD or COPD?
Okay. First of all, his terminologies are totally different. I can understand that it's a different country and people use those terms. Remember one thing, every technique is cumbersome if you don't have the proper skill to do it. If you are getting proper training and skill, every technique is easy. So from your mind, don't think that it is cumbersome or it will take a long time for me to do it. The moment you think that cumbersome, you cannot be doing justice as a therapist. Being a neurological physical therapist, we need to hold the patient, make the patient to walk. We have to hold the patient and help in transfers from bed to the wheelchair. More than that, an auscultation is cumbersome because cardiopulmonary knowledge is poor. We don't know what is auscultation. That is the reason it is cumbersome. Otherwise, easily you can auscultate. Whenever we talk, also resonance comes. all over the chest wall. We can palpate itself, that resonance. Palpation is cumbersome. How can we palpate the sound winds? Then where it is part of the pulmonary examination for crepitus, for pleural rub. When pleural rub can be heard in the stethoscope, why can't the clicks? Clicks are much more louder. So don't think that it is cumbersome. Take that out of your mind. And the next thing, do not bother about whether you are giving rib superior, rib inferior, rib lateral, rib medial, all these things. Patients will have mixed presentations. You need to see which direction is going to relieve the patient's symptom or breathlessness. You might give a force which is medially, after that the patient feels less breathless. That will be the treatment technique. If the patient is not getting secretion clearance, you are putting in postural drainage. He's not having the breathing. You are seeing with the stethoscope. If the air goes, then the secretion comes down towards the gravity. So there to expand, you can give the rib mobilizations just only to that segment. You can intercostal distraction. So don't ask whether it is medial, lateral, superior, inferior and all. Don't confuse with CRPD, COPD and all. And remember that if you need more in-depth, more individualized, more clinical perspective, enroll in the course. The certification course, definitely you will get all the videos with lifetime access. And definitely you can practice on each other. You can also record the techniques and send me for verification whether you are doing it correctly. Every masterclass comes with the clinical examples and patient disorders. I am sure that first time you are listening to a physical therapist who's talking about obstructive and pulmonary conditions and chest wall mobilizations are different. Understood or not? Because I don't think anybody in Philippines or anywhere in the world has actually differentiated the thoracic cage manual therapy into patients with obstructive dysfunction and patients with restrictive dysfunctions. And we know the dynamics and mechanics in cardiopulmonary sciences. Obstructive and restrictive, how the chest wall dynamics are different. The same chest wall dynamics I am using in manual therapy, that's all. Right? Next question, ma'am.
Yes, sir. The next question is from Dr. Ashwini. Which all manual therapies techniques can be given in case of thoracic scoliosis?
All the techniques can be given. Okay? There is no exception for any technique. It is only the indication of each of the techniques, if they are present, that has to be given. Manipulation cannot be given if there is a fracture, obviously. Malignancy, infections, contraindications. So contraindications are there, you cannot give the technique. Indications are there, every technique is indicated. Because scoliosis, you cannot tell there is only articular dysfunction, only locking of the facets are there. So facet alone I will mobilize or manipulate. Rib dysfunction will be there. Intercostal muscles will be going for shortening. So you have to release them. You have to lengthen them with muscle energy techniques. Diaphragm dysfunction will be there. That might require release. And once there is a lateral curvature itself, it can be even neural also. The sympathetic ganglia. So you cannot think that even a flexion, biceps tightness, flexion deformity of elbow. Elbow is the simplest example. What manual techniques can be given? Of course, mobilization can be given, radius and ulna. And then mobilization with movement can be given. And then supination and extension and mobilization. Pronation and elbow flexion and mobilization, combined movements. Or thrust manipulation for the elbow, everything can be given. But what is the indication? That indication is present in a patient with post-traumatic stiffness of elbow. I can give all the techniques. If there is capsular tightness, I will go for deep transverse flexion massage for the capsule, IASTM for the capsule. If it is myofascial spasm, I will use the reciprocal inhibition. If the myofascial tightness, I will give post-isometric relaxations and I will get the length. And of course, the elbow action is always important and it can be effective only if shoulder rotator cuff is stable. So I'll give rotator cuff motor control training also. All are myofascial techniques. The first phase I have told about articular techniques. And if the elbow is always fixed, don't you think ulnar nerve will be stretched at the middle epicondyle? So people having tingling and numbness in little finger, I have to give treatment for ulnar nerve. Because the elbow is flexed, anteriorly median nerve is there. So that can also get compressed. If ulnar nerve can get stretched, median nerve can get compressed. So median nerve mobilization, why I cannot give? I can give that also, but the symptom should be in the median nerve distribution, either in forearm or in the thumb. So ultimately what is important is the indication which is evaluated by impairment-based examination, which is highlighted in all the clinical master classes. Technique is not for the disorder. Technique is for the dysfunctions. A single patient with a single disorder, another patient with the same disorder. One will have only articular problem, another will have only myofascial, another will have only neural. Or another will have articular and myofascial, another will have myofascial and neural. Or another can be articular and neural. Or the sports, they will have articular, myofascial, neural, all the problems in a single disorder. If it is frozen shoulder, also in the shoulder. Don't ask me what are the manual techniques, because articular techniques are also there, myofascial trigger points are there, subscapular, you can give myofascial techniques. And because the internal rotated arm, radial nerve neural mobilization is also important. So articular, myofascial and neural will come for every disorder. Don't think that it is only what are the techniques. Every technique is a technique. The indication for that technique should be present in the disorder. That is why we examine the patient. If you know that these are all the 5 techniques, directly you can give the 5 techniques to all the patients. You become a technician. You examine the patient, find out what is the problem, and then you give the technique. You are a clinician and you are a consultant. Irrespective of whatever the referral diagnosis is, whether it is impingement syndrome or frozen shoulder, whether it is costochondritis or it's a slipping rib syndrome. Whatever is there, what are my priority is articular, myofascial, neural. So check the joints that are there in the symptom region, check the muscles that are there in the symptom region, check the nerves that are there in the symptom region. That is what is your evaluation findings, which will indicate the articular techniques or myofascial techniques or neural techniques. If the symptoms are too much widespread, symptoms are in the night with sleep disturbances, you should think of central sensitization, where you need to treat the brain. Whereas another people who are having locally, but the local one is very sensitive, it is autonomic dysfunction. So you might give relaxation techniques or thoracic sympathetic slump. So remember that mechanism-based reasoning is also another detailed description. You should take the videos from AOMPT. And also all the techniques are available as videos from AOMPT with certification. Right from certified manual therapy practitioner, which involves all the concepts, to individual concepts in advanced practitioner level. Muscle energy technique, myofascial as fasciomuscular releases, or it is motor control training as functional neuromuscular stability training, or is it the neural mobilization as neuromanual therapy, or articular techniques as arthromanual therapy. The McKenzie as kinetic kinematic diagnosis and therapy. So remember that there's always an improvisation of the existing techniques into a functional domain. We don't want to give mobilizations which are structurally correcting the patient, but the patient's breathing is not improved, or patient's movements are not improved, or activities of the upper limb is not improved. Okay. Thoracic pain was there. That means you are treating the patient to become functionally recovered. So that is the importance one of all the master classes of AOMPT, and all the AOMPT members definitely know that. Only strangers who are non-members will ask such questions. Which technique we can give? AOMPT members will always ask, how do we decide which technique is first? Because all techniques can be given. Which one to be given first? That will be the priority there. That makes you the expert in reasoning as a consultant. Okay?
Yes.
right? I don't think there are any more questions.
No, sir.
So we
No.
can dismiss the interactions and
Yes, sir.
go for Madam's summary.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Rituma.
Yes, sir. As always, you always give a very broader view to treat the patient with the step. First is the evaluation according to the all the dysfunction. If there is a multiple dysfunction, then our priority is the non-irritable and irritable. Then we can differentiate between that the which condition is more painful for the patient. So this is our first criteria for the evaluation. And if we are talking about the thoracic dysfunction, we are talking about, as you have started with that, the upper limb and the lower limb, where is the lumbar spine in a sitting position, the flexion position was giving the more symptoms in thoracic age, and the upper, the cervical region is in the upper limb activity. So we have to differentiate. After that, we can check the articular, muscular, and neural, because in all the sessions, in other the instructors or the teachers, I have always seen that they only give pressurize for the articular technique. For the thoracic dysfunctions, they treat by the articular. They are not covering the myofascial and neural. Where here today you have shown that how we can first check the other muscles which are related to the rib dysfunction, either the pectoralis region or the scalenes muscles, anterior, posterior, and medial. We have to check their rotation, either the same side and the opposite side, or the lateral flexion. And then we move toward the pectoralis major, which plays a very broad role in the rib dysfunction, and where is the trigger points in the pectoralis major as well as the minor. And when we move towards the downwards towards the down ribs, we can see the serratus anterior is also giving a very bigger role in this dysfunction, and as well as the rectus abdominis, which are moving downward. And the for the breathing pattern, we can check the diaphragm, we can check it also. So it is, if we are, this is all about the anterior, which we have to check according to the sternum and the costochondral junction also, and the sternocostal. After that, we can move towards the posterior, where we can check the costovertebral and the transfer process. According to that, where is the tightness or the trigger points by the myofascial. And the basic thing which you have explained is very useful, that the sympathetic ganglion for the neural dysfunction, which we were missing in the thoracic dysfunction, that was not, we were not covering this part. But today you have shown a very great view of this, that sympathetic ganglion. So neural is also in the sympathetic, the slump position we can add with the neck flexion and the extension of the leg. We can add the sympathetic slump for the better relief of the dysfunction if the patient have a neural dysfunction. So after that, we can plan our treatment according to the, if the static dysfunction, we will give the Maitland glides according to the if the in the thoracic first to third, we can that central posterior pressure with the pisiform grip we can give. And if the problem in the cervical also, we can give the pencil grip we can give. And for the facet joint also, we can thumb on thumb pressure, we can give our pressure and release. And as well as after that, we can, in the movement, we can check the lateral, the rotation, bending and the rotation on the same side. In the extension and the flexion position, both we can provide this Maitland glides. As well as we can give the myofascial release and the fasciomuscular release, which is very important for the muscle contraction. If the muscle contraction, we can check it, is it ease the symptom, it means there is a ligaments which are the articular is the main source. And if it is raising, that it means the myofascial trigger point or taut bend and the which their referred pain because of the myofascial. So it's our very priority of the evaluation. After that, we can plan our treatment according to articular, myofascial, and the neural dysfunction. As well as that the snacks which you have shown, that we can give the snacks also with the movement. And the for the cervical, reverse snacks we can add for the relief for the upper. If the cervical was the cause for the thoracic, we can add the reverse snag also for the cervical dysfunction. And here the scapula, we have to check all the positioning of scapula also. We can check with the thoracic spine rotation, retraction, and the for the anterior tipping and the posterior tipping, we can treat also for this. And the splenies, that is also. And we can differentiate between the chest wall pain or the cardiac pain according to the symptoms of the patient. It is in the static, in the rest position, or all over the diffuse pain and the local pain according to the upper limb activity, as well as the proper at particular place, we can check it also, all these things. And the hypermobility, we can use the rigid taping also, and for the adhesion, we can use the screw cupping also. That is also very useful agent to treat the patient for this, if there is a problem for the adhesions. So I think it's a completely, we can clear all these things by using this agents and the rigid taping, screw cupping, and as well as we can give the snacks also for the best treatment for the patient. So I think it's a complete view. Thank you so much, sir. Very nice informative session to learning more. And we are going to learn more about for our next course, which is coming for the specialized course for the thoracic spine. I think it will be more broader view for learn this type of techniques. And I think it's a very demanding course because of the post-COVID, the patients are they are suffering with the problem of the thoracic problem, as well as the tightness in the pectoralis major, minor, and they are suffering with all these things. So we have to treat them according to their obstructive and restrictive, which you have shown according to the long exhalation for obstructive and the long inhalation for the restrictive pattern. So I think that will be more useful for us. So thank you so much, sir. Very nice. Over to you, sir.
Right. So any of the members, if they want to ask me questions directly, okay. Otherwise, I think we can close the session now.
Yes, sir.
We have extended the time and we have given enough slot for interactions. So make sure that participants who require the lifetime access to today's session video will have to pay extra fee specifically for that video. And those who are enrolling in the thoracic manual therapy course, they'll get the lifetime access to the today's video. But the important thing is today's certificate will be available only upon registration. People who are attending from the, what is called as, if somebody gets the link and then they just attend today, they will not get a certificate. Okay. So remember that it's important that registration is required. So for the registration, the fees and the due confirmation by me, then you will get the e-certificate for today's session, right? And remember that the course will be, at least I can say proportionately, maybe at least 50 times better than the today's session. So you can expect the depth of instruction, which AOMPT is always known for over the years, being the single manual therapy academy active in providing online manual therapy education in India throughout the lockdown. We have conducted more than 1,000 hours of webinars throughout this 1.5 years. And also we have taken more than 125 free webinars. So make sure that you are part of an academy which is the largest number of followers for any manual therapy academy in the world in Facebook page. AOMPT is. Any academy in the world, okay, AOMPT is topping the list. No academy is near this AOMPT in Facebook. The number of followers in Facebook page. All the channels and the platforms of AOMPT like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook has a lot of free videos and clips for creating an awareness, for creating an enlightenment. It is not a substitute for the formal instruction and learning. Make sure that your enrollment in a course will definitely justify the transformation into a better professional, expert physical therapist. So good luck to you all, and I appreciate the presence of Ritu ma'am to coordinate today's session, and we can wish all of us the best of luck to take the best decisions at the best time, so that you can do your best for everyone to become the best. Right? Good luck. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Yes, sir.
Recording.
Right, sir.
Yes, Ritu ma'am. See you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Hare Krishna.